Secretary, good afternoon. Forgive me if I go at about 4 because I have a Defence Committee visit to Brussels. It's not for any other reason. As we've said, and you know, the ROC is of great military importance. Its function as a forward operating base hosts nuclear submarines and Queen Elizabeth-class carriers. What do the United States think of the prospect of their service personnel, potentially in national security-focused roles, being subject to EU checks to enter British overseas territory?
I don't think that is. Look, these all have got to be negotiated. But in my view, as I said, the base must operate in every regard as it does today.
As an RAF base.
As an RAF base. So that means people and equipment, including sometimes nationals of other countries and all the rest of it. You need to have them in that base, out of that base, working in the base, contractors going to the base, operators going. That's absolutely essential. Because if it's an RAF and a naval base, it's an important asset and it's got to operate in the same way. And what you've just suggested is not how it operates now, and I don't think it should operate in that way in the future.
Right, so you can assure the committee it won't operate in that way in the future.
That is what we're trying to achieve.
I'm assuming, Foreign Secretary, you've spoken to the United States and our NATO allies. We know that Spain does not like NATO ships visiting. The Red Arrows were cancelled the other day. Spain does not like Great Britain in or on the ROC.
I'm fully aware of that.
I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, so one of the aims of this, again, take a step back. Why are we all doing this? The Gibraltarians want their economy to be safeguarded. Britain wants this last piece of the jigsaw to be fixed because, of course, Spain insisted that Gibraltar was kept out of the Brexit negotiation. So we want to get that fixed. And I think there is an advantage if we can get an agreement, which also would include a defence and security aspect to it, that actually we could...
What aspect would that be so far as Spain is concerned?
Well, I think if we can get this agreed, the relationship between Spain and Britain over this issue might get a bit better, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
We said a defence aspect.
Yes,
what defence aspect are you negotiating with Spain?
That you'll have to ask the Secretary of State for Defence. But
you don't know.
I do know, but I don't want to answer for another cabinet minister. But what I'm trying to say is that one of the advantages of a deal, as I said, if we can't get a deal, we won't have a deal. But one of the advantages of a deal would be that all of this would be on a more substantial platform, so you wouldn't get the difficulties and the games that sometimes can be played, which I don't want to refer to. I want to make the negotiation even harder. But that's the point.
Secretary, I hear you, but you are the Foreign Secretary. You can't just say the Defence Secretary is going to answer questions on such a crucial issue as an MOD base.
In terms of
basic.
Absolutely.
May I continue?
Yeah, sure.
There's a fear amongst some that there's going to be some compromise. Others would call it a sellout. So far as the
absolutely
MOD.
not. There's absolutely no question. As I've said, the base must operate in every regard as it does today. That is absolutely essential. So you're not going to have, Spanish inspectors wandering around inspecting the base. Not, all the fears you read about. That is not on. If we can't, it is a sovereign British base, a vital defence
you mentioned discussions going on about defence with the Spanish.
Yes, of course we talk to the Spanish.
Are those?
Well, they're discussions as two NATO partners about how we work together. But it's not going to be absolutely clear. That is separate from the operation of the base and the way the base works. But my point is that if we could settle this issue through a treaty, then the relations between Britain and Spain, I think, would actually move on to a better place. And some of the things that would be nice to have, like being able to have, RAF flights that could fly over mainland Spain and all the rest of it. It would be much easier. We're going to come on later to PESCO. There are so many things the Spanish, can sometimes...
Is that what they're saying to you? That if you do something, we might let you fly over?
They're not. So to be clear, they're not saying that. I'm trying to make a more general point, which is there are some the relationship. But that's not the reason for doing the deal. The reason for doing the deal is to safeguard Gibraltar in the post-Brexit universe and to have a deal that is good for the government and people of Gibraltar. That's what
United States, what's their view on this?
I haven't actually spoken to the United States about this issue. I pretty much know their view. Yes, I mean, I know their view because I've seen it in pieces of paper, but I talked about everything else, I'm sure. And I know what they'll say, which is, this is a vital asset, will you safeguard? And they go, yes, I will. That's the whole point of the negotiation.